Good morning. This is your lesson for Thursday, March 19th for pre-algebra. Let's start with a little bit of review. On the board we have over here -2 plus a -1. So in your mind you're thinking in your -2, you're going to move to the left because it's a negative. You're adding a negative number. Your answer then would be -3. Very good. And what if you have a -3 plus a +2? Visualize that in your mind. Your answer is -1. Okay, hopefully that was an easy little review for you. We're going to do several more of those. Let's look at this problem here. We have the equation 4 1/3 divided by 2 6/7 equals 7 divided by x. How are we going to solve it? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply to make an equation. So we're going to say 4 1/3 times x is 4 1/3 x. That's going to equal 2 6/7 times 7/1. Now I went on and made it 7/1 because we know every whole number is over 1. Let's go look at this problem. The first thing I want to do is make it all of my fractions, my mixed numbers, into improper fractions. So I have 4 times 3 plus 1. So my answer is 13/3x. Now, I'm going to move to the other side of my problem and do exactly the same thing. So 2 times 7 plus the 6 is going to be 20/7. And of course, my last fraction, I've already made it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Now I want to look and say, is there anything that I can cancel? Of course, I can cancel the 7s, dividing both 7 by 7, making them both 1s. Now I have 13/3 x equals 20 times 1 is 20. 1 times 1 is 1. Now I'm simply going to solve my equation. This 13/3 x tells me to multiply, and I know my first rule is do the opposite of what it says. So I'm going to divide. Now when you divide, remember you're really using the reciprocal and multiplying. So we're going to write 3/13 times 13/3x. And of course our second rule in algebra, whatever we do on the left, we must do on the right. So 20/1 times 3/13. Now it's a matter of canceling things out. So on our left, I can cancel out my 3's and my 13's, leaving me only the x. Then I go to the other side of my problem. Can I cancel my 20 and 13? No. Can I cancel my 3 and the 1? No. So I'm simply going to multiply. 20 times 3 is 60. 1 times 13 is 13. So my answer is, I'm not sure you guys can see that, but the answer is 60. X equals 60/13. Let's look at our next problem. Our problem here is in orders of operation. Remember, we have to follow the steps. You have to do them in order. If you do them in a different order, it'll come out as a different answer. So let's get rid of all these powers if we can. So 2 squared. Squared simply means the number times itself. So 2 times 2 is 4. Then we have plus 3. Keep your bracket. Do not lose any of your signs. 2 squared is 4. Put in your parentheses. 2 to the 4th power. That means 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So we have 16 minus 3 squared. Again, that is 3 times 3 is 9. Again, do not lose any of your brackets or parentheses. Minus the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So we write the 2 down and put in our bracket. Now let's look at our problem. With the orders of operation, we have to do the innermost parentheses first. So we're simply going to bring down 4 plus 3, bracket, 4 Now I have something I can solve. What is 16 minus 9? The answer is, of course, 7. Minus 2 and our bracket. Next, we say 4 plus 3 bracket. Oh, wait, right here, we have a multiplication. We have our bracket here around the 7, and this, of course, means to multiply. So we're going to say 4 plus 3 bracket, multiply 4 times 7 for 28, minus the 2 and our bracket. Now, we still have to stay inside our brackets and parentheses, so we're just going to bring down the 4 and the 3. Bring down your next bracket. 28 minus 2 is 26. Now, we have to look at this and say, which process do I do first? Do I add or do I multiply? Well, we know that we do our powers and our parentheses, then we do multiply and divide from left to right, then add and subtract left to right. So I go to my problem and I say, I'm just going to bring down the 4, but I'm going to say 3 times 26, and I'm going to get 78. Now, 4 plus 78, because we've finished all of our multiplication and division, we're just going to add these together, and we have 82. So remember, in your orders of operation, do powers, parentheses. Always start with the innermost parentheses. Then multiply and divide from left to right, and then add and subtract from left to right. Everybody's favorite algebra kind of problem. I say that with a little bit of hesitancy, as I know it's not your all's favorite, but it is finding the area of these shapes. When you first look at the shape, you have to decide what shapes do I have in order to decide what formulas I'm going to need. Well, when I look at this, I can see I have a semicircle, and here I have I can have a rectangle or square, but I'm going to have to make this into a triangle, okay? Once I do that, I'm going to say, okay, I have 3 shapes here. I have a triangle, starting from this side, I have a triangle, a rectangle, and a semicircle, and I'm looking for the area. So write your formula. We're going to find the area of the triangle plus the area of the rectangle plus the area of the semicircle. And with that thought, what's your formula? How do I find the area of a triangle? Well, the total area is going to be, area of the triangle is base times height divided by 2. Then I'm going to find the area of my rectangle by simply saying length times width. And of course, we have to find the area of our semicircle. The area of our semicircle is going to be pi times radius squared. It's a semicircle, so we're going to divide by 2. Once we have that all figured out, we know which shapes we're going to use, we know the formula for each shape. All we have to do is go back and fill each one in. So let's do that. Let's look at our triangle. For our total area, we're going to say, here's my triangle. I need the base and the height of my triangle. Well, the height I put in with this dotted line. This dotted line and this one are going to be equal. Now, I don't have the measurement of this, but I know that the radius is 5. So if the radius is 5, then the diameter is 10. So that means that this dotted line is 10, and so is this one. So we know that the height of our triangle is 10. What about the base? Well, this line from the corner to the dotted line is 15. From the top of my triangle to the dotted line is 10. My question is, what is the distance right there? What is the distance between the corner and this dotted line? Well, obviously, 15 minus 10 is 5. So the formula for my base and height is 5 times 10 divided by 2. Now, look at your rectangle. What is the length and the width? Now remember, It only goes from the peak of the triangle to the starting of the semicircle. So it's going to be 10. We know that the length is 10. What about the width or the height of it? Well, it's going to equal the diameter of my semicircle, which is 10. Now let's look at the semicircle itself. The semicircle says pi. We already know what pi is. Pi is 3.14. We're going to multiply pi times the radius square. Remember, radius is from the center to the outside of our shape. In this case, it's given to us from the center to the outside of our shape is 5. So we're going to say 5 squared, and it is a semicircle, so we're going to divide that by 2. Now let's go back and solve each little problem and I'm sorry, I'm trying to move that so you can see the problem better, in each little section, okay? So we have our total area equals 5 times 10 divided by 2. Sorry about that, guys. 5 times 10 divided by 2 is going to be 25. Next, we have 10 times 10, which is 100. Now, on this next one, we have pi, which is 3.14, times the radius square. So before I can multiply by pi, I have to determine what my radius square is. Well, radius square, the radius is 5, so 5 times 5 is 25. Then 25 times 3.14, you may have to do that on a piece of scratch paper, but for time's sake, I'm going to give you the answer. It is 78.5. But remember, we have to divide it by 2. It's a little hard for you all to see that. I'm sorry. You have to divide it by 2. So, there we go. When we divide that by 2, we're going to get 39.25. Now, we're going to simply add these together. We're going to say 25 plus 100 plus 39.25. When we add them together, we're going to get 164.25. Now, I didn't say this earlier, and I should have given you a unit. So let's just say that this was all measured in meters, okay? And of course, it's meters, but because it's area, we know that is actually meters squared. Now, that's a nice review for today. I hope that you paid attention during each of these because you're going to need to be able to do them on your quiz. Make sure that you know how to do negative numbers, equations, orders of operation, and the area. Now, you may not have each of these on today's quiz, but you will have each of them on a quiz during this week. Your homework assignment for this class today and your class assignment is to do quiz worksheet 59, the front only. Okay, do only number 59. And then problem set 72, do problems 8 through 30. Problems 8 through 30. Once you have done your homework, once you have taken your written practice quiz, please go online and take the quiz for today. Have a good day.